Really pleased to be here tonight to share some of the exciting work that we have going on in our elementary computer science curriculum. We started our computer science work in the elementary program about 3 years ago. We're actually in our third year right now. And we really wanted to ensure that our students at a very early age are exposed to the principles and the competencies that are really part of computer science in order to have them build the foundational skills that they need to progress in the field or in the computer science education program. And our goal is really to introduce the fundamental concepts of computer science and build a progression of skills K-12. The first 2 years we really began with exposing our students to the foundations of computer science through a program called Code.org. And Code.org really began building foundational skills. It's a nonprofit organization that developed a curriculum that really was very robust, was supported by some major computer industries, Microsoft, Google, and it built a curriculum that really began to give our students exposure to the foundational skills. We started year 1 with the Hour of Code initiative. Year 2, we went to a month of code. And this year, we've really evolved the program, and I'd like to describe how that evolution has taken place. As a result of a grant from our Chappaqua School Foundation, we were able to acquire some of the robotics peripherals. So this year, we began to expose our students to programming with robotics. And I brought some of the robots with me tonight to just give you an idea of what we're doing in the really primary grades. This is a B-bot, and what this does is it allows our students to learn how to sequence, patterning. It's all done by controls, and they can actually program up to 40 commands and have the B-bot go in various directions. We also use the Ozobots, which is based upon a light sensor. And what this does is it also allows our students to develop skills in problem solving and sequencing and patterns. And really, they have abilities to evolve. So as our students progress through the grades, these programs can take on different dimensions. You can actually begin to do some coding with apps and connections to tablet devices. We have another program called Dash and Dot, which is a similar program, a robot that allows us to evolve into coding, block-based coding. So the robotic programs have been really, really evolving, and our librarians and teachers have been learning how to use those this year. We also offer coding experiences, as I mentioned, in Code.org, where there's some block-based coding opportunities, which is helping students learn how to sequence and develop programs to solve problems. But this year, we also introduced a really powerful initiative in the third grade using the program Scratch, which was developed by MIT, the Media Lab. And with a partnership through our local BOCES, we partnered with one of their coaches to work with our teachers, because part of bringing in computer science into an elementary curriculum or into really K-12 curriculum is ensuring that the teachers have the expertise to really begin to integrate the program into the curriculum, because we really want to align it with some of the programs that we have in place. For example, with the Scratch program this year, we're aligning it with the social studies content area. So we've had our teachers work with the BOCES coach to actually develop a unit of study consisting of 10 lessons in which the coach works in one of the elementary buildings every 6-day cycle, a full day with every third grade teacher. So through this experience, what we've done is we've created a professional development model for teachers, because the teachers have the opportunity to either sit back and work with the coach, learn how to really use the program, as well as co-teach or take on the lead role. And it's really evolving in a very positive way. So our teachers are learning, our students are benefiting from learning some fundamental skills of programming. They're learning what conditionals mean, what algorithms mean, and really looping. So they're getting the fundamental concepts, which is what we then want to evolve as we go through the progression of skills in each grade. This is just a sample of, or I should say a visual of some of our students using the B-Bot. So again, this is just a simple robot that really is very powerful in helping students learn sequencing, estimation, problem solving through creating the commands that help the robot navigate. This is our coach from the BOCES service that we've partnered with, and she's really been actively involved in creating the 10 lessons with the teachers, though. I want to just really highlight how the work has all been inclusive of our teachers. So we started with a planning phase. We planned the 10 lessons really from September through December, and we began the implementation in January, and the lessons are going from January through April. We're using our mobile devices for this work. So each of the, we have a laptop cart shared by the third grade teachers. So all of the students are accessing the Scratch program on the laptop. And we're actually really enhancing a lot of the students' skills even beyond the programming side of it, where they're really learning how to navigate and really important skills that sometimes are not able to be accomplished in the role of the third grade computer lab. So what we found is that students are really learning naming conventions, the importance of working with their peers. We're doing a lot of collaborative work with the students together at the, helping each other. So we're really working on many of the 21st century skills that even go beyond the coding initiative and the coding skills. Some of our next steps right now is we want to continue the professional development model for teachers. We feel that that's really critical, especially teachers who haven't really had any exposure to this type of work. And next year, what we would like to do is expand the program to 4th grade. So over the summer, we'll have some curriculum work. We'll bring our 4th grade teachers together. We'll continue the work in 3rd. We'll expand it to 4th, and we'll continue the primary grades, K-2, with the robotics, evolving programs there, and we'll continue to expand as we move forward the entire program. It takes some time, though. It takes some time planning. It takes time helping the teachers learn how this can be integrated into the curriculum. And overall, though, it has truly been a very positive experience. We'll bring more to you as time goes on, and at the conclusion, we hope to share some of the end products.
A couple of quick questions. Is the students in 4th through 8th grade now? They don't get coding because they weren't in
No,
3rd
they
grade?
do. They do. So tonight we were really briefly just talking about the elementary curriculum, but yes, 4th grade has been using code.org, so the foundational skills have already begun there as well. And then in the middle schools, we have the middle school technology program. There's robotics that takes place in there. There's some engineering work that goes on in the middle school program. And that's something that we're going to continue to evaluate as well, because we want to look at that program as it relates to our new STEAM spaces and all of the new classroom designs that we are working on within the district.
I think you were here for the initial presentation about the art thing.
Mm-hmm.
Would you consider coding an art or a science?
I would consider that, I would actually consider that both. And I'll give you, I'm glad you brought that up, Jeff, actually, because Louise and I were collaborating together.
That's the first time anybody's ever said that to me. I'm glad you brought that up.
It was actually something I had wanted to mention, so thank you. Louise and I were having a conversation about the work going on in the elementary schools, and especially with the Scratch program, as she's very interested in bringing that into the high school. And Louise is also one of our advanced technology fellows, so she's researching the technology integration throughout the curriculum, and she's actually going to be visiting and observing the elementary classes in the next couple of weeks to see what the students are doing, because we are very invested in that progression of skills K-12. And the other piece about the connection to art is Scratch is an animation program. So Scratch can really allow students to evolve their creativity in many ways. And in the program and in the curricular component that we've designed with the teachers and with our coach from BOCES, it's connected to the social studies unit on the Arctic. And the outcome, the essential question that the teachers designed is how do living could be humans, animals, adapt to the Arctic environment. And what we're doing in Scratch is we're having the students create animations that address that question. So as they've been learning the skills, the first 5 lessons were essentially skills, how to use Scratch, getting familiar with the block coding and the user interface. Now we're moving into that curricular connection, which is the social studies unit. And, just share a little story about, some of the, the way we've progressed with the teacher training, because it's really been very powerful and very exciting for us. Originally, there were a lot of teachers that were very apprehensive, having never really covered this type of unit of study in their curriculum, and a little concerned about whether or not they could learn it in this period of time. But with the model that we created, which is really one of collaboration and helping teachers learn how to use the program, we had one of our 3rd grade teachers come in first day, really apprehensive. I've never coded, I couldn't do this. And she actually coded the most sophisticated program in the whole group. And I looked at her, and I said, look at what you've done. You've coded the longest program, the most commands. And it was just such a positive experience for all of us. And I just really explain that because it does take some time, and we need to be able to support our teachers in this work. And as we begin to really implement our new spaces, that will be a big part of our work, is the teacher training and looking at how we can support them as they continue to evolve with the students, because a lot of this is very new, but also very exciting. And I think we're in such a strong place. And I know Eric and I have been working so closely together with the new spaces and looking at what we need to support all of this work. So we hope to bring more to you in the near future.
I can tell you, having conversations with Dr. McCann, that he's very supportive of increasing technology from K through 12. And he's a big believer in this work, and so I'm glad you came to present.
It's great, because I think by starting this at the K-4 level, we're incorporating boys and girls, right? They're in one class together. They don't get separated. Where it seems like there's always been that idea of boys technology, girls don't do this well. Mm-hmm. But I know there's one liberal arts college in the country that it's now a requirement that you have to take a technology class to graduate. I think the top liberal arts colleges are going to be doing that. But this brings, girls and women into technology more. I think it makes it less, there's that stigma of I can't do this, and you're showing them that they can.
Right, it's very true. And it's really
the boys out, but it just...
In the last 7 or 8, 10 years, this is so accelerated, the opportunities that actually work. At times, this was the province of a middle school or just an after-school club for 6 kids to go to. And what you're seeing, and to me it's very exciting to see, is that so many kids are getting exposure to this and the power of it in terms of the thinking. You're talking about all those other skills that apply across problem solving in general. Right. And that's what we do in life, is we encounter situations and we have to work through them. So the power of this is ever evolving and will continue to change and have implications. And that curriculum is going to change up above and down below continuously as we see what children can do.
It's really becoming a new literacy, and
Right.
it's really critical for us to
Are
include in
you writing in,
education.
what language are you writing in? Like Scratch writes programs in what language?
It's a block coding program, so you're not really coding the actual syntax, but it's blocks of code that you actually
So
connect
they're kind
together.
of blocks of
Right.
code into different areas, and behind the
Right.
scenes is the
But-
actual code.
Right, but you do learn the foundation, so you do learn what an actual programmer would learn, such as what is an algorithm, what is a loop, what is the conditional statements that you need, but you do it through blocks, so it's really a nice way to begin to build the foundations. Vicki?
Can you tell me to what extent exactly is the elementary school program integrated with the middle school program? Is this still a work in progress? I'm not sensing that we've got that piece quite yet. I mean,
Right.
this is wonderful work, you
Right.
know.
Yes.
And I'm really glad we started very early now, but I just want to talk about the integration.
Right, it is a work in progress, so we will look at next year again, building this into fourth grade and building the skills that we've developed this year as the foundational skills in third grade. We want to evolve those. Now, we are having conversations with the middle school teachers. I just actually had a conversation with the middle school technology teacher this week about what we're doing, because we want to ensure that we're communicating effectively with everyone, so we're all aware of what the students are learning, so we can really build the progression of skills. We plan to work with the middle school teachers and look at that curriculum, because it's really the right time for us to do that as well. Again, with our new STEAM spaces in each middle school, we want to ensure that everyone is prepared to use those spaces in the most effective way, and that's part of our work. So it is evolving, yes, but we are really confident that we're building the program in a way that's really going to help the students' skills progress and continue to become more complex as they go through the high school
Yeah,
years.
I mean, do you think it would be helpful to just bring everyone together, rather than just work with the middle schools and the elementary schools? What do you think of, you know, including the high school as well, and as an entire K through 12 professional development work?
Well, we're actually, right, that's this, a lot of what the STEAM work that's going on right now is doing, bringing everyone together. It's K-12.
Right, but I guess we're just talking about coding now, so that's
but
just that's a
that's a
small, an aspect of it.
Not so small. It's a
No,
significant
not so-
part.
yeah, right,
But
yeah.
this is a great leadership team that represents all schools and all levels. And I think that that's having powerful impact on the articulation of our curriculum across areas. So you heard from Louise tonight, you know, a lot of that has come as a result of the STEAM work that they've been doing. They, as an art department, have gone further with that. The same thing's going to happen with the technology curriculum as well. So because we're identifying the K-12 skills with the skills continuum, which we presented earlier in the year. And that's really that's the piece we're in right now, which is going to help us to articulate what are the exact curricular elements that have to exist in order for us to teach the skills at these levels.
Right, and so that's what we're talking about now. We're talking about coding specifically as
Yes.
opposed to STEAM as a whole, which I understand. We're doing that K-12 very well, so I'm just wondering about just the coding part of it.
I think this is really what about, you know, I'll use Eric's term, but knowledge-based, problem-based learning. This is really giving kids those skills. But one of the dynamic parts about high school and middle school is that the choices start to open up all over. And then we're trying to find the connections across disciplines, because most things that we study, we need multiple perspectives, and yet we still feel we have to build certain knowledge bases as well. So what role, how much do we build of coding? Does it become a requirement? It's an interesting question for us in terms of trying to fit everything in.
And it's also part of, you know, certainly it's going to be part of the curriculum that's delivered in the maker spaces that are part of the new construction, in the STEAM labs that are part of the new construction. It's all integrated.
Actual coding?
Actual coding will be within the curriculum delivered in those areas, in those new spaces.
Right, and so that's why, you know, I'm asking the specific question about coding, independent of other things, because it's a language. It's going to be an increasingly important language. And so I'm just focusing on that aspect and talking about the integration of that K through 12,
Right.
just coding specifically.
Right. And we will be doing that, Vicki. I think that is our plan. It does take some time, though, to prepare our teachers for this work, and that's why I was just reiterating that piece of it. But what we will look at in the middle school curriculum next will be what we can change or implement. There's already coding going on in there. They've been using robotics for several years now and doing, have a lot of levels of sophistication in terms of programming already in the middle school curriculum, which every student does have a quarter of in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. So through 6th, 7th, and 8th, we'll look at how that program might be revised to incorporate some of the new work that we're doing simultaneously with elementary. And then at the high school level right now, that's also evolving as Louise is looking at bringing in the Scratch program in her area of expertise because of the connection to art, and also looking at what programs we have existing in the high school now as well, because we do have some very sophisticated Java courses that are offered in the high school. We have a robotics program, and we have principles of engineering and design as well. So while we do have some very high-level courses for our high school students, we do want to look at that, and we will look at that continuum K-12 and that whole big
Right,
process.
because you don't want the progress to be interrupted
Right, exactly.
or have kids not be prepared for the next level and lose them
Right.
at that point. So, I would just want to make sure that we avoid these ups and downs,
Right.
these peaks and valleys in where they're going with the work.
Right, no, we completely are working toward that. And the other piece I just want to add, because it's also really so encouraging, is when we go into the third grade classes now, the students are, it's so, just so part of their work, the naturalness of it, for lack of a better word, that you walk in and everyone's so engaged in the work and they're helping each other and they're building the collaborative skills with each other, we're teaching that peer-to-peer work. So we would not want to lose all of this work, and we are totally looking at continuing it in third grade, moving it to fourth, and continuing the evaluation of middle along with high school.
So it's in the elementary and middle school levels, it's a requirement to learn to code.
Right.
Because I think coding, great, it builds a program, but it teaches you a way of thinking that I think is critical for the future of our students.
Right.
And I think you might see that as these younger kids come up, that they are much more advanced than the older cohorts. So I think it's important that our program not be too static, because these kids are going to come up pretty soon
Yes.
who are ready to do more advanced work than
Right.
perhaps what we're seeing now in the middle school. So I think that
Most
this is
definitely.
going to have to keep
And just-
progressing.
I'm sorry. The one
Yeah.
more piece about the third grade initiative, which is really robust, is really the part that we are exposing all of our third grade students to learning the foundational skills right now. So that's part of really, I think, the thinking that you have, Vicki, is that we want to ensure that we're giving everyone the opportunity, that it's not just, used by certain teachers, that we want to ensure that every student really getting exposure and learning the skills, and that's how we'll continue the work, that will make sure everyone is really getting the exposure. And just, I know we had mentioned this at a prior board meeting, but we were recognized by the Computer Science for All initiative through the White House, which really recognized the fact that we were providing an equitable curriculum across a grade level, and that's something that the initiative right now, that is a national movement, Computer Science for All, is really moving toward, not just having it, done by certain teachers or certain grades. We want to have a robust curriculum, K-12, where everyone is exposed to learning this new skill. And that's our plan. And we hope to come back with some updates for you, because it's very exciting and really strong robust work on the part of our teachers and our librarians as well, really actively engaged in the work. So we'll be back with more.
Great. Vicki, I just want to add one. We have a great model for how literacy has transformed up the grades. You know, our focus on literacy and the workshop model began in the elementary grades, and it's really pushed the instructional shift in middle school and high school. And I think we'll start to see the same. So we have this successful literacy work that we've done that's really, it's changing the game up
Yeah,
here.
actually, that was in the back of my mind when
Yeah.
I was thinking about this.
It's a great
Yeah.
parallel to
Yes.
look at in the model, so.
Thank you.
very
Great
much.
work.
Thank
Thank